I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yes! Happy New Year! Welcome to the Curb Your Enthusiasm After Show, where the laughter starts long before the show does. I'm Christian Bladt, here, excited to talk Curb with you. You're not going to get me to say anything bad about James Maple.
Hey, everybody out there in TV land, it's your boy James Maple.
You're not going to get me to say anything bad about Rachel Goodman.
Hey, everybody. Well, he might not say anything bad, but, I won't even go there.
Well, I
Just
might
kidding.
say something bad about our boy Flobo Boyce. New content every week because he's not here.
Yeah.
He has a paying gig.
Or whatever.
Yeah, which kept him from joining us. And apparently he loves money more than us. Which, the next time I book a private flight to Cabo, he is not invited.
The next time. So there was a time before? Oh, wow.
it's
Someone's
the only
doing
way to travel.
very well for
The only way to
themselves.
travel. So much to cover on this episode. Just very briefly, overall thoughts. James?
For me, this episode was great. This was, I think, the longest episode that I've...
45 or 46 minutes, I think.
Of this season. So that was pretty cool to get as much Curb in as possible.
Yeah.
Just layers. Just more and more layers of comedy that I'm realizing this show has. So I think the wedding was a great spin. It was nice to get out of Los Angeles.
I think so,
for the show. I hadn't experienced or met Mickey yet. He is a character. I thoroughly enjoyed him.
He's
as
the
an
great
actor.
Timothy Oliphant.
He's
Mickey.
great. Yeah. So
And you're not going to get me to say anything bad about me.
So yeah, that was my overall takeaway. I definitely like this episode.
It's
for
interesting because, the 10 seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm have stretched over, 2 decades, really. And when it started, shows were, if you were a half-hour show, you were half an hour or a little bit less.
Right.
And now it's the age of if the next show starts at, 11:16 or 11:22, that's fine.
Right.
Let's not worry about it. Let's just put as much show in as we can. I think that the age of Netflix and streaming services really changed that. What are your overall thoughts, Rachel?
The anxiety was real for me
Oh, sure.
because of Donna and how every time she so much as looked at food, Larry was all over her. And I was like, wow, Larry. And he couldn't even, weight is a sacred thing, number one. But number two, what? I've never been on a plane that ever would need your weight.
Well, it's because you don't fly private.
Oh,
By the way,
Mr.
But-
Christian.
okay.
legitimately, by the way, that is a thing. I don't fly private, but I have made reservations for people I've worked for who have. And if you're going to have 4 or 5 people, it doesn't matter. When it's going to be full, then they start to ask how many bags.
Right.
We need to know how much everybody weighs. It's not going to be like the way that Larry was. How much do you weigh, whatever.
Okay.
Well, and I'm guessing that if they were over by 50 pounds, with that, it wasn't even like there were that many people.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they would be fine to fly if they started the trip. They're not going to land halfway
Exactly.
through and then realize, oh, we can't fly anymore.
Well, because they needed more fuel. They didn't realize because Larry had lowballed. So maybe they didn't fly on a full tank because it was only a 2-hour flight. And we'll fuel up when we get back. Oh my God, we've run out of gas. All because of Susie and Larry estimating what she weighed. But yeah, I mean the guessing people's weight was sort of a very funny thing because it's. It's you look at Larry in this episode, he's never had to think twice about his weight.
No.
Every other character, including Leon, Leon's like, I don't talk about that. I thought he had a great line. I don't give my weight or my height. That's what we call a description.
Boom. Boom.
Leon, as always, getting right to the point. What were you going to say, Rachel?
I looked up Larry's weight because I was curious, and it legitimately is 165,
Really?
and he's 5'11".
So Ernesto really guessed it on the nose.
Yeah, and I'm sure they probably said, hey, Ernesto, before they even did the scene.
Yeah.
They were probably here's his weight, just guess around here. But
You'll be safe.
yeah,
Don't worry.
but it was really funny that they used his actual weight and didn't just make something up.
I think it's also funny that it does seem to be the sort of thing that you would just typically anyone other than Larry David wouldn't ask a woman what she weighs, even for this situation.
Of course.
But I did like sort of Jeff's approach. That's Susie doesn't know, my doctor doesn't know.
Right.
My weight, my
My
business.
business.
I thought that was great. So, yeah, that whole thing I thought was very keeping in, with this show, but it definitely speaks to the relationship with Donna, who was played by the delightful Megan Price, who we were talking beforehand, is best known for being on the sitcom Rules of Engagement. David Spade was on that, and she was married to Patrick Warburton, a.k.a. Putty from Seinfeld. So, and she's been in other stuff, but I think that's, that was one of those sitcoms that every year CBS would renew it for half a season because they'd bring it back in the middle of the year because it's like, well, we canceled 5 shows. We need something else. Hey, how about that show that people kind of watch?
Right.
That show's in syndication now, so everybody ended up happy in that show. Anyway, so I thought it was very funny, and I don't know, it's sort of a very Larry moment. Wouldn't you agree, Rachel? How the relationship begins? Did you throw this gum away from me?
And the fact that it would actually work on her.
Yeah.
She was like, okay.
Yeah.
That was confusing to me. I thought she was going to slap him and walk away.
Well,
Yeah.
I can understand just like, you know what, I want to get out of this conversation, so it's fine. But then Jeff sort of gives him the nod, and he's like, I'm going to go with you.
Right.
If some stranger sticks his hand out and starts to give me the gum, I am dropping the gum and I am leaving.
Okay, some stranger. But let's say that stranger is Larry David, actual Larry David in the real life. Would you be like, all right, this is good for a story? Or is the story better if you still like, no, Larry, I'm not carrying that out for you?
I'm not carrying Larry David's
James,
gum.
are you carrying out Larry
I
David's
would
gum?
absolutely carry that, man. I would be like, you know what? I'm gonna record this because I do an after show for Curb Your Enthusiasm, and this is golden for us right now. I would absolutely carry that.
You've
man's
talked
gum.
on past weeks about spending a lot of time as a server.
Yeah.
There has to be no shortage of just disgusting things left on plates,
Well,
left on
under the
napkins,
table.
tablecloths, under the table. I didn't even think of.
Yeah,
but
that's
you know what?
You know what? I feel like oftentimes to kind of bring things full circle with the whole Curb Your Enthusiasm issues, I oftentimes have to readjust tables, and when you readjust the table, you kind of grab it from the bottom and kind of like, I'm like, why is stuff grabbing me from the bottom of the table?
Yeah.
So there's been that. For the most part, people have been very polite about getting rid of gum. The telltale sign is, excuse me, sir, can you bring me a paper napkin? So I'm like under the impression, but I'd say like 5 out of 10 will ask for the napkin and then give me the gum.
Oh.
Without like, and it's always that weird like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. But I oftentimes have to do it. So that moment in particular, I was like, ugh, I feel you. But I'm shocked that Donna did it as like a non-server. Like she was just a random,
she was just somebody on her way out. Yeah.
And then I am giving you a pat on the back, Mr. Bird, for that game he spit, because I wasn't expecting him to end up like flirting with her. I thought he was just being Larry, like douchey Larry. And Larry turned into getting a date.
They went out for sushi, and
That's
then
dope.
the next thing you know, they were going to a destination wedding in Cabo together.
Boom, boom, boom. Just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. Look, sometimes a relationship you get caught up in it, it moves fast, but that's
a little fast.
extra fast.
A little fast.
Sushi to Cabo.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, when I fly privately, it's at least not until date 4. All right, yeah, I'm not.
It's like I'm not a floozy or anything.
Let's see if this is worth me asking
the
you how
waters.
much you weigh.
You're a man of standards.
Right.
Like, look, I need to, and apparently Megan's the actress's name. Donna's standards apparently were fairly low. She ended up with Larry. But let's talk about the uncomfortable moment when he sees the pictures of her at Cabo. And I was wondering what they were going to be, because when the phone comes out, I'm like, all right, is this going to be like,
going down.
A Girls Gone Wild situation? Like she went, I don't know, a little while ago when she was in college or something. But instead, just the revelation that she had been heavier. And I also then thought, I was like, okay, what's she going to say? Like, this was 10 years ago. So it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think that really puts it in for Larry David, not for normal humans with souls. For Larry David, that puts it in, there's a lot of red flags going up there. Rachel, as a woman, how did this play out for you?
I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, is that... First of all, I could buy that somebody lost that much weight in a year. It's
Sure,
totally,
absolutely.
completely reasonable. And
We lost a whole Flobo in a week.
And literally,
look how
in
much
7
better we look.
days.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
I feel so light.
And it's such a personal thing, and I also know how it feels when, like I myself have lost a lot of weight over the course of like 10 years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how it feels when I show people an older picture and they look and they're like, what? And like, so I felt really bad for her because I was like, even if she doesn't say how she's feeling, she can feel how Larry is reacting to this, and she must feel like crap.
Yeah, I mean, she, because of a lot of the questions, and it's like, so there's a lot of just terribly inappropriate conversation about this, but the floodgate really opens, James, when he says, so you're still losing? So, what did you think about Larry's approach to this delicate conversation for the rest of the world, but not for Larry?
Like, leave it to Larry to make like bad of a situation, and that like I don't know, in my head, if I saw someone who lost like a lot of weight in a short period of time, in like a year and a half, I think she said, it's not even that long, it would be like, yo, that's dope, like tell me your secret, like what did you change your diet? Like I will be so intrigued and want to like bolster that person because they made a goal and achieved it. But like you said, leave it to Larry to like mess that up. I think that in the moment, I was kind of shocked, and I was like, no, bro, like, don't say these things. But, of course, he did, and I think he did the best that Larry could to get out of the situation.
Yeah, there's only so much Larry can do.
But I really do question his approach about, like, why wasn't it? Because he was on the date. It could have been a positive, like, motivating factor for them for their progression of their new relationship. But the fact that he said that, I was like, yo. Did you you took like 4 steps back? What are you doing?
Well, and then it really colors the rest of the relationship because the free dessert comes. I know that this was a moment that, I was going to say connected with you, Rachel, but sort of in a bad way. It impacted you.
There you go.
So this is their first date.
Yeah.
And if this was their 100th date, it still wouldn't have excused what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't even know her, and he's telling her to put the dessert away.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, no, Larry, she can eat what she wants when she wants, and it doesn't matter. Like, if he's gonna be like that about it, then he should have just. He has no future plans with her outside of the wedding. He could have just said, "Oh, I'll go to the wedding with you," and then if he was really that concerned about her lifestyle and what she was eating, then he could say, "Well, goodbye."
Right.
He doesn't have to tell her how to eat. That's her choice.
And who doesn't want free dessert?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And here's the thing, too, that really pisses me off is that people think, oh, you lose a lot of weight. That means that you no longer eat junk food. That is not true. And that is how you're not going to lose weight. Because what happens is, like, I had to learn this the hard way. If you deprive yourself of food that you actually like, you're going to want it more. And you're going to end up at some point failing your diet. And so for her to accept the fact that sometimes when she's out, she's going to eat junk food or she's going to have dessert, that is a very respectable thing. And even if she's eating all of that junk on the vacation, she's on vacation.
And also, Donna's fine AF. She looked great.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, what are you talking? He's like, I'm like, yo, she looks incredible. And she's hollering at you. Why are you shooting her down?
Larry has a string of women who are completely out of his league. Anytime you ever see him, even, who was it? It was Terry Polo a few weeks ago. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously Cheryl, but I mean, it's like at some point, it's like, all right, well, I mean, he somehow tricked her into marrying him, so I guess like until they got divorced, it was like, all right, I guess I see why she stays around. But then it's like, you got Ted Danson, and you're gonna have, and Larry's gonna be your side piece. Come on. So I mean, this world that the TV Larry lives in is definitely a little skewed. I'd say that's the least realistic thing. That Donna doesn't just like, you know what? I'm not having that much fun anymore. Thanks for dinner. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing this is kind of what I got off of her is that I'm just guessing that she had been in a place where she had been treated, just a guess, that men had mistreated her so many times before that she wasn't used to a guy actually being nice to her. And so my guess is that that's why she allowed the behavior. But even going back to like Terry Polo, Gary gets these women out of his league, and then he gets them in ways that he's like being such, like a jerk to them, and he still gets them to consider him going out.
He gets Terry Polo by asking for extra validations that he doesn't need.
The man's got game, is what I'm saying.
Somehow,
Larry's got game.
But so then there's the dessert, and then she's eating the M&Ms on the plane. There's the Toblerone and the sting. So there's like everything,
I feel like maybe that was like her revenge because she kind of, not revenge per se, but like how she was going to mess with him.
Yeah,
because she knew that he was like, from the dessert moment, she knew, okay, this guy's a jerk. I don't know if I want to like date him again, but I'm not going to pass up a trip to Cabo for free. So I figured that was the situation, and that she decided she was going to really put him through like hell.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, and to your point, I mean, look, she's like, I'm gonna have some chocolate. It's gonna be fine. To your point about when you're trying to lose weight, depriving yourselves of the things you like, that's the situation where you're like, oh, I've been so strong. Look how I've done for a month. And then you blink, and the next thing you know, you've like teared into a Carvel ice cream cake at the bakery section at Vaughn's. This hasn't happened to me, but just hypothetically. And you're like, I think I might eat all of this, and it's like, oh, or if I had just maybe had, the cupcake at that birthday party where I'm like, I'm not going to have anything, maybe then you would feel better about it. So, but again, these are all things that are foreign to Larry.
Yeah,
I think real life Larry and TV Larry. I think that, you just look at him. It's like, when have there been any weight problems in his life?
If you've never had to struggle with weight, then you just don't understand.
You just don't understand.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I thought that it was fun to watch the way it all played out. The entire relationship with Donna, which we're going to just assume is over. I like how he got Susie to come around on her by just telling her that she's Jewish.
Yeah.
And by the way,
And then she asked for the last name.
Yeah,
Meyer.
Well, okay, that's
which is great.
A nice Jewish
that was
name.
a perfect one of those ones like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Where it's, he also, Larry doesn't tell Donna that he's like, oh, she's okay with you because I told you were Jewish. And whether she is, whether she isn't, it's probably helpful to know that that's what made her come around. Because if she isn't, I don't know, you pretend or you just, you just ignore it. You don't ask those questions of, So, I don't know. I mean, I think that that's more a testament to Susie.
For sure.
Susie's one of those characters where I'm like, oh, Larry's wrong, but she is kind of annoying. So, you know what? She is being mean to Donna for no real reason. Maybe it's because she's hashtag Team Cheryl. So I thought that part was interesting. Let's talk about Mickey, played by Timothy Olyphant, because as soon as he gets brought up, Jeff, you're not going to get me to say anything bad about Mickey. And having the destination wedding.
Oh, I have things to bet.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. Now, I did not have a destination wedding, but by living in California and having mostly family in the East Coast, I think they felt like it was a destination wedding.
Yeah.
But here's the trick about that for anyone who hasn't planned a wedding. You just kind of hope a lot of people don't come. At a certain point, you're like, oh, these are all people that I want to be there. But then when the tables start to fill up, you're like, if 20 people just say no, it's going to be better.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that was not our experience.
Oh, that's just my experience.
Yeah, but we only invited a certain amount of people, and we wanted to do the destination wedding, but then it just, it was going to
What was the destination you wanted?
We wanted to do somewhere in the
Reno?
Caribbean. No.
Oh, okay.
No, the Caribbean. But we
Skokie?
didn't. Instead, we did our honeymoon there.
So where did you actually end up getting married?
Back home in Pennsylvania.
back home in
the
Pennsylvania.
other home, right before we moved.
Is the majority of the family out on the East Coast?
Everyone's, everyone except
so
for us.
So it's more a destination for you than them.
Did you at least...
Well, we weren't even... So we moved to LA right after the wedding.
Oh, wow.
So did you at least do it in Amish country or something?
No.
You didn't come down on a horse and buggy?
That would be dope.
Right?
Them cans jingling in the background of the back of the buggy.
Wawa wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. If you could get,
Wawa.
I mean, if you could have the reception at Wawa, go ahead, do the touchscreen, the hoagie, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So what were you said you had some thoughts about the destination wedding though? Sorry.
Just that, I mean, first of all, that he could have that many people there. It sounded like they were getting there on their own though.
Yeah.
But still, that he could do that, and that he was getting the room for everybody. One, like, it was hilarious that Larry got this small.
All the rooms are great.
So terrible.
By the way, I've had that exact room somewhere, and it's fine. But to Larry's point, compared to every other room, including Leon,
you're right.
It was not a good room.
Leon's got away with words, though. I mean,
he got that electrician to show up,
and he got that room about claiming to be handicapped.
Yeah.
So I mean, you say he spit some good game, and you see what happens.
Yeah.
Things.
But Larry was right about the room. Just in the room's fine, but compared to the other rooms, it's like, well, yeah, why does he have the bad room? And I think that it's not really explored, obviously, after the way the episode ends for sure. But when Larry is in Mickey's room, it's pretty apparent Sasha doesn't like him.
Yeah.
It was just like, Larry, it's late. He's like, yeah, she's right. So I think Mickey is an interesting character. He gives a hug to everyone except Larry. Mm-hmm. So I think that Larry's not out of his mind that this guy doesn't really like him.
Even Donna, who he's never met before, he gave her a hug.
He was
Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to see you. I'm like, yo, he just gave you the snub. The snub.
Right. So I'm not crazy for thinking that, right? No, because I watched that.
Not.
And then he gets the bad room too.
Yeah. I feel like Larry, obviously Mickey and Sasha do not like Larry. So I feel like the only reason he was there is because maybe Susie and Jeff were like, hey, you have to invite both of them.
It's probably that they wanted to invite Cheryl, and they had all been friends. That's just the assumption. And so they still invited Larry. But that's a perfect moment to pick sides, you know?
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
great.
You don't even need a divorce, just sometimes just in any kind of breakup, sometimes you have to pick sides. And, who's really going to be on Larry's side? Well, Jeff is his agent, so Jeff has to be on Larry's side, because it's in his best interest. Does he want to keep getting any of that Seinfeld money? So I get it. Jeff should always be Team Larry. And then by default, Susie should be, but she hates Larry so much she will never actually be Team Larry. So anyway, but I thought it was all interesting. What did you think, Rachel, about the extra toothbrush, but not sharing it? So Mickey had the extra toothbrush.
The emergency toothbrush.
Would not let, because what if he needs the emergency toothbrush?
Right.
So if it had been me, even if I didn't like somebody, if I had another toothbrush, I would go and just give it to Larry. It wouldn't matter. Get him out of our hair. Yeah. But then number two, you can't tell me there wasn't some kind of convenience shop where Larry could have gone. It's a travel destination. Yes, there is going to be, even if they couldn't find something on the premise, which I highly doubt, there had to have been some kind of convenience shop.
Even a bad hotel has those little tiny those little stub tooth. Yeah, the little half
ones. Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that a hotel seemed like a 4 or 5 star hotel.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
I find it very hard to believe they wouldn't have a toothbrush in the counter, behind the counter somewhere.
But that's the reality that they've created. So he doesn't get the toothbrush. And Rachel, you and I were talking about this beforehand.
Yeah.
I've been married for 10 years. I've been with my now wife for almost 16 years. And I would never willingly, intentionally use her toothbrush. Nor would I want her to use mine. Where do you come down on this?
I agree with you. So hubby Joe and I have been married for 5 years, going on 5 years.
Yeah.
And I, as much as we love each other, we're not about sharing toothbrushes. And if I accidentally had to use his, I would probably tell him and then trash it.
I did accidentally use my wife's toothbrush once, but I didn't tell her, and I just washed it with really hot water. I felt bad. By the way, I stopped. She doesn't watch this. She doesn't watch Curb. She doesn't watch any of my shows. So believe me, my secret is safe. But but when I realized I had her toothbrush, I did stop. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, so it was a mistake.
It was a total 100% mistake.
I think it was an intentional.
Yeah, because we have an electric toothbrush, and you have to look, I have the dark gray. She has the light gray. Sometimes, the colors are not, they don't stand out. And look, I'm getting older. I can't see as well as I used to. What were you going to say, Rachel?
Hubby, so we have the electric toothbrushes too. And you know how they have the removable heads?
Of course.
So mine broke, and hubby Joe gave me his electric toothbrush, but with my own toothbrush head. The actual brush was mine. That felt weird, and it wasn't even him giving me.
Did you guys have separate toothbrushes?
We have separate toothbrushes, and they're the electric toothbrushes.
What kind of teeth does hubby Joe have that he needs his own toothbrush? His own, I'm not talking about the bristles, but you're saying that he had he
has his own, and I have my own, and then mine
base.
And the base, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And my base broke, and we couldn't fix it, so we trashed my base. He gave me his.
All right, this is like next level.
That's acceptable, I think.
Having your own base, what's the point? That just seems like a waste of money to have the multiple bases.
You're the one taking private flights. Get out of here.
Look, how do you think I can afford the private flights? I save on toothbrush cost. Well, let us know in the chat what you think about all this. James, I'm going to just assume it's horrifying, the idea of someone using a toothbrush.
This is mortifying to me.
Yeah.
I'm single AF, but still, if I wasn't, ain't no way I'm sharing a toothbrush with nobody.
Yeah, and Larry, he uses the excuse that he used his finger, but look.
I love how Donna was like, let me smell your finger.
But she was right, by the way, because she knew not to trust him.
That's a real one right there.
Look, Decades ago when I was a younger man, a single man, yeah, sometimes you stay somewhere that you weren't expecting to and you don't have a toothbrush.
I mean, yeah, shit happens.
I would brush my teeth with my finger.
Oh, of course.
Because it's like, well, I got to get something in there. And, let me have some of the mouthwash too.
Just a
little bit. Just a little swig. Because, maybe also I ended up in that situation because I still smelled like alcohol from the night before. But don't judge. Don't judge.
We all have a past.
It was the 90s. You guys don't know. You kids don't know what the 90s were really like. It felt like you were going to say something, Rachel.
I think the real question to me is, how was Donna going to brush her teeth?
With her finger. But by the way, where's their toothpaste? So did they find toothpaste but not toothbrush? And if you could, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's not that important to people watching, but you could just be like, yeah, we were supposed to get a new shipment of toothbrushes in, but for some reason we don't have them. The hotel, like you just need that. And maybe a fully 100% scripted show might have put that line in there.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been edited out for time. The thing was 46 minutes for
Yeah.
a half-hour show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel like there was a little... There's always logic jumps on this show.
Right.
And honestly, most shows. But this one was just a little bit like, really? Okay.
I do think that it created a great dynamic between Larry and the front desk agent.
Oh, it did.
So I feel like if nothing else, like we got a good, like, I'm never staying in this place again. What's the carnival? Is it fun?
Yeah, I thought that was great. That every time it's like, is it fun? It's like, very much
It's
so.
very fun. Yes, sir. It's a lot of fun.
What's up with the chocolate stain and him getting charged $200 for it?
Yeah.
Well, and the guy at the desk even says, yeah, you shouldn't have told us about it.
Right.
Because we would have just had to clean it because we would have been like, oh, did it happen before this gets...
That is.
Yeah, I mean, I've never soiled furniture in a hotel room because obviously
I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, obviously,
I mean, it's chocolate. There are ways to clean it up that aren't going to cost $200.
I mean, he could have done it in the hotel room by himself and some hot water and some elbow grease and been good.
Or, him being Larry who'd been like, well, Donna, you go get a washcloth and, let's do a little scrub,
Scrubby scrub.
Got a Tide to Go pen, something. I did think that was interesting, but you're right. That dynamic was great because when it eventually came around to the beans, I thought that was very funny. It's like, well, you can bring your sister here.
He's like, no, she can't move. She
can only lift up.
Except lifting a mug.
That was hilarious.
I did like the importance of the beans, which was established at the beginning of the episode. I loved the callback to it. I love that Mocha Joe brought over some of his coffee for them, and both Larry and Leon had to concede that that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it must have been warm today instead of when they got it. And I think that was the season premiere, and it was cold. But Larry did not put his nose in it.
Shocking.
So yeah, it's a little different. I did like the whole subplot of trying to get the beans, and it's funny because when they were going to be overweight on the plane, I was like, well, how many bags of beans did he get? When they showed us, that's a lot of bags of beans.
And he was so obsessed with not going home without them that he just let everybody fly ahead.
And he stayed back himself. I thought that scene of him, the camera to his back, and the beans and the plane going off. Yeah, it's like, that's Larry.
And it's perfectly set to the Curb theme song, I thought. Yeah. So it's been very interesting to see the sort of slow progression of the war with Mocha Joe. Right. Let's talk about the wedding itself. Things had really been bubbling beneath the surface with Ted Danson. And, just annoyed that Larry's always around. And then, if we all remember, I believe that was the season premiere that Larry, we saw the cloth from his glasses case fall out. Yeah. And so then he sees the other one and the ensuing fight. And of course, it wouldn't be Curb Your Enthusiasm if the bride didn't get caught up into the fisticuffs between Larry David and Ted Danson. Literally in the middle. Yeah. Which, by the way, largely Larry's fault, but Ted Danson, you're beloved. You should have known better.
He should.
Also, the fact that I feel like in this particular situation, Ted Danson started something at the wrong moment. Yeah. So I felt bad for Larry. I usually don't feel bad for him. Yeah. But in that moment, I did. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no. Ted needed to, I guess wait until at least after the ceremony. And then after that, then they could have talked about it.
And then Larry got blamed for it, of course.
Yeah, Mickey cursed him the F out.
Yeah, which I thought that there was a very telling moment where Mickey says, nobody likes you. Isn't that right, Jeff? And then Jeff, you're not going to get me to say anything bad about Larry. And then, of course, all he has to say after that are bad things about Mickey.
Yeah.
So, again, Jeff knows what side his bread is buttered on. It's, look, the Larry David gravy train has been very good to, I was going to call him Jeff Garland, but his character name is Jeff Green.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing. I think that I don't think I've missed anything, and I want to make sure we get to our curb correction corner. For those of you who don't know, this is when we take the moment that we really disagree with Larry. Yeah. And there can always be many, but we're going to isolate the one that we consider to be the most. Now, Rachel, we've already mentioned yours, but it's certainly worth coming up again.
Say it again.
Yeah.
I legitimately, that sushi moment, when the free dessert comes out and the server brings it out, and he says, "Oh no, we don't need dessert here," I gasped out loud.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? And it wasn't even, it was like mochi, which doesn't even have that many calories. She brought like...
Well, there were 5 of them.
Well...
And Larry said he didn't want them.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just, I'm just
free
being devil's
dessert,
advocate.
homie.
Yeah, it's free. It's exactly
It's free dessert.
Yeah.
Look, even when I've been given bad free dessert, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, I know that's not good.
But I know that it's
know.
free 99.
Yeah, exactly. So, that was very poor form. But honestly, that was just the beginning of a gigantic boulder that rolled down the inappropriate behavior about weight. What was your curb correction corner, James?
My curb correction corner this week for episode 4 definitely is the interaction between Ted, Cheryl, and Larry, where Ted and Cheryl are having breakfast at the hotel, and Larry walks up and strikes up an awkward conversation, as one does, and he proceeds to kind of pick at their raspberries, and then goes into some crazy diatribe about how raspberries get stuck in their teeth, and
and then Ted brings up what my curb correction corner is you don't use your ex-wife's toothbrush, you don't use your wife's toothbrush, you don't use your identical twin's toothbrush, you just use your toothbrush, or you use your finger. Come on. I know you're Larry David and you're a billionaire, but still.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, how could he have not gotten like an Amazon drone to fly him a toothbrush?
Exactly. If you can afford a plane.
Yeah.
Literally.
But we do need to make sure that we reference when last we did this show, there was a dangling subplot that I had a prediction for where it was going.
That's right.
And while I wasn't 100% right, I was righter than the rest of you. Where Alice,
is that a thing?
Well, because I wasn't rightist. I was just righter. And Alice, who did choke on the scone, and Larry was like, I don't want to touch her because I don't want that loss of oxygen, and she's essentially brain dead. And by the way, it's included as an afterthought. Very reminiscent to what I talked about last week, Susan on Seinfeld with the toxic glue. Just like, well, there was an incident, and then he's like, after it happens, he's like, but I do like the scones. What were you going to say, Rachel?
I thought that they said it was amnesia from losing oxygen to the brain.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think you're right. I think that's what it is. She doesn't have any memory of it.
Amnesia? No case.
Well, that's good, though, because that keeps the door open for her to come back and,
absolutely,
and one day remember.
Yeah.
It's going to be some random moment.
It's, like Larry's going to like put some books on a shelf, and they're going to hit her on the head, and then she's going to remember.
Hey, you touched me inappropriately.
What did you think, James, of that revelation for, what had happened to Alice after last week?
I thought that was such a crazy way to pseudo wrap it up. I mean, because like I always say, I am new to the show, so I was expecting this like long, grandiose, like Alice is still pursuing her legal, blah blah blah, and no, they were like, no, here in 14 seconds we're going to tell you exactly what.
And that's definitely how Curb handles things.
Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, and look, that's a very Seinfeld thing because there was a season that ended, and he starts dating Janine Garofalo, who's playing somebody who's just like him. And then in the middle of the season premiere, like, what happened with that girl? Oh, yeah, she was too much like me, and I don't like me. I hate myself. Yeah. And so it was like, but it's just like, oh, yeah, that thing? Yeah, that's not the way this show anymore. That's not the way this show works.
Right.
And neither of these shows work that way. Where it's like, a lot of shows would be like, well, we're going to start off with that.
Right.
And, maybe Larry's in the gift shop visiting her in the hospital, and that's when we find out that we don't know about it. No, we just go, we're going to Cabo.
Yeah,
we're fine.
An afterthought.
Which I thought was funny. But I don't know. Let's just I think we all probably agree. She's going to come back before the end of the season, right?
I hope
and
so.
You think that memory's going to come back?
Faux shout.
Yeah.
Faux
She's
shout.
not going to forget.
No.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll remember that he tried to kill her with a scone that she didn't really want. But she was hungry.
She was. She said yes.
Anyway, that does it for us for this installment of the Curb Your Enthusiasm After Show. But we will be back next Tuesday at our new time, 3 Pacific, that's 6 Eastern, and maybe your boy Flobo Boyce will be back with his new content every week, except this week. Because where is his new content this week? He's not even here.
We miss you, though.
Yeah, we do.
do.
Yeah, because you know he's watching, of course.
Yeah.
He's not going to be on Star Trek Picard with me on Thursday either. But if you do want to see me on Thursday night at 9 Pacific, right here on AfterBuzz TV, you can find me on Star Trek Picard After Show. And follow me on social media at ChristianDMZ. James, where do people find you?
You can find your boy at Terrell James Maple on all Instagram, Twitter platforms. Holla at your boy. TikTok everywhere. I'm
oh my God, everything.
Yeah. Got
Snapchat?
TikTok last week. Yup. Terrell James Maple. Holla at your boy.
MySpace?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Me too.
What?
I don't know my password, but I still have one.
I think I still have my
I have
AOL
no idea.
AIM as well.
Oh,
Take
well,
it
they don't do
way
AIM
over.
anymore.
I know.
They canceled.
I saw that. That was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
AOL.
Someday I'll tell you the story about how AOL Instant Message saved my relationship with my wife after a fairly bad first date. Yeah. But until that story, Rachel Goodman, where can people find you?
Not on AAM, but you can, you can find me on Instagram, on my author Instagram, at Rachel Radner Author, or on Twitter, at Rach Goodman. If you're a fan of Stumptown, Outlander, Doctor Who, The Young and the Restless, and I think that's it for right now. Oh, Narcos Mexico Season 2.
Yes.
I will be on all of those shows.
That's
so.
a lot of shows.
Yeah.
You do more shows than I do.
She's a hard
That takes a lot.
And Anatomy of a Movie.
Oh, Retro Anatomy of a Movie.
Yes.
That'll be Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific over on the Popcorn Talk. This week we'll be talking about the feel-good film Kramer versus Kramer.
So if you like Marriage Story.
To tie it into Marriage Story.
Bringing it all back to circle.
All right, that is all the time. Thanks to J-Lo in the booth, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.